let's move on. We are going to do all those stories tonight. The pre-recorded interview coming up as well, Chew. If you want to hang around for it, you can. If you don't, you can sod off then. Mr. Luxon was on RNZ this morning, Morning Report, and it appears that Casey Costello is still running rings around him and he is still carrying water for her. What would you do, Chewy, if I talked to you about a leader, quote unquote, who had a underling, a minister, a manager at a certain level, have some very controversial information that they'd been given that there was a lot of dispute against? Would you like to see that controversial information just to check out that your minister, your head of department, your person under you wasn't putting you in an awkward position? Well, if your name is Christopher Luxon, he doesn't want to see it. He hasn't seen it yet, doesn't want to see it.
Just a couple of minutes before the 8 o'clock news, but I'd like to switch to the advice that you got on these HTPs or heated tobacco products. Casey Costello, your minister, released her independent advice on these devices. Did you find that convincing?
Look, I haven't seen the advice. I know ministers.
So in other words, Joey, I've seen it, and you've seen it, and Whānau have seen some of it because we showed you, but the leader of the country hasn't seen it. Independent advice.
What has he seen? Because he hadn't seen the request from the DCC to buy flood-prone properties. He hadn't seen that. It's his go-to. Oh, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the media reports. I haven't seen the story. I haven't seen the proof. I haven't seen the request. Does this motherfucker walk around with a bag on his head?
Maybe it's not. Maybe he's not bald. Maybe that's like a skin cap he wears over his whole head, and stops him from seeing.
Receive and seek a range of advice from a range of sources, but what we're doing here is making sure we reduce the excess. We're going to reduce the excise and see what would happen if we get
talking point.
Yeah, but you've portrayed yourself as a careful custodian of the public purse, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So you're faced with a decision to spend up to $216 million on cutting the excise tax. You've got Treasury and the Ministry of Health saying they're harmful to health, more harmful than vaping, and there's no evidence that they work. Your minister says she's got independent advice, but it turns out that this is 5 articles that are either about different products or outdated or offer pretty weak support. I mean, 2 of the articles she released are from 2016 and don't even mention heated tobacco products at all. I mean, Did that seriously trump the Treasury and Ministry of Health advice?
Well, look, I just say as you go on, look, we've made tremendous progress on lowering daily smoking rates in New Zealand.
Talking point.
The minister is deeply committed to smoke-free 2025.
Talking point.
My question is about spending $216 million of public money, which is a lot of money potentially, isn't it? And you've done that without even looking at the advice. And have you read the advice, the independent advice that she put out?
What I'd say to you guys is I think you've misrepresented the $216 million the way that you presented it.
Shell game. Talking point. Question, shell game. Look away. Just like we were talking about.
And some of the reporting, what we've done here is we've got a process, or what we want to do is make sure we give people alternatives to get
let's clarify that. If you're claiming this misrepresentation, the Cabinet, and I've seen the Cabinet papers, set aside a contingency fund.
You should be careful, Guy, because you've seen the Cabinet papers, but Luxon may not have. So just be careful what you're going to give to him right now.
Fund for $216 million, right?
Correct. But it doesn't mean that $216 million is going to be spent, because first and foremost, heated tobacco products need to be compliant with our regulations. Secondly, we need smokers to move off cigarettes to go to heated tobacco products.
Notice how they're not talking about Casey Costello's research all of a sudden? That's the shell game. P's gone under the shells, zip, 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 zip. They're now not talking about her information, they're talking about policy.
The tax revenue will be, could be higher because they could have more people sticking with smoking cigarettes rather than moving across to heated tobacco products for a number of different reasons. And all we've done is conservatively estimated the loss or the reduction.
But that's a lot of money.
And he's managed to waste 45 seconds of 2 minutes till the news without having to answer it yet.
Why weren't you interested? Why weren't you interested in the information about whether these things work?
Back on topic.
Because we're interested in actually trying alternatives to get more New Zealanders off smoking.
There are alternatives that are proven not to work.
Even an alternative that the Treasury and health officials say would only really advantage Philip Morris and may not even work.
Well, I'll just say to you at the moment, as I
What I'd say
understand
to you,
these heated tobacco products have to be compliant with our childproof
No, it's not the question.
regulations that we've just passed on the 1st of
And they can't be
October.
sold. So how's your trial looking?
Well, whether they're in the market or not, because that's up to manufacturers to produce them and make sure they're compliant with our regulations. We gave them plenty of time to adjust to that. We extended another 6 months. That's on them. But frankly, whether people move off smoking heated tobacco products, whether those compliant products are made available at scale in New Zealand, that will depend upon how much loss of excise tax we actually have. If there is not a shift from cigarettes to heated tobacco products, then that tax revenue will stay higher because, frankly, more people are smoking cigarettes.
There we go. So talking point, bleh. Vomit, diarrhea.